The Fairy Queen's Bargain. Once, in the deep heart of the wildwood, where shadows danced and the wind whispered secrets to the trees, there ruled a queen unlike any other. Her name was Isolde, the Fairy Queen, mistress of the Twilight Realm, where magic flowed as freely as water, and time itself bent to her will. Her beauty was as ageless as the stars, her eyes glowing with an ancient power, but behind them lay a heart colder than frost. The Fairy Queen was feared and adored, for while she granted wishes, they always came at a terrible price. One autumn dusk, a young woman named Bridget stumbled upon the Fairy Queen's court. Bridget was not like other mortals who sought out Isolde's realm. She came not out of greed or ambition, but out of love. Her younger brother, Kian, had fallen gravely ill, his body wasting away with each passing day. The healers of her village could do nothing. In desperation, she ventured into the wildwood, seeking a miracle. Bridget knelt before the Queen's throne of silver and shadow. "Your Majesty," she began, her voice trembling, "I beg of you, save my brother's life. I will give you anything." The Fairy Queen leaned forward, her long fingers curling over the arms of her throne. A slow, cold smile spread across her lips. "Anything, you say?" Bridget nodded, though fear gnawed at her insides. Isolde rose gracefully, the light of the moon filtering through her gossamer gown. "Mortals often come to me with their desires, offering anything, but they do not understand the weight of that word." Bridget's heart pounded. She knew fairy bargains were perilous, but her brother's face flashed before her eyes. Pale, fevered, dying. The Queen circled her, silent as a shadow. "I will grant your wish, mortal. Your brother shall be restored to full health. But in return," her voice dropped to a whisper as cold as the winter wind, "I shall take from you the thing you love most." Bridget's breath caught. She thought of her brother, the only family she had left. Could she bear to give him up after saving him? But the Fairy Queen's bargain was not to be easily refused. "Agreed," Bridget whispered, though her heart ached at the thought. Isolde smiled, and with a flick of her wrist, a silver mist enveloped the forest. Bridget felt the ground shift beneath her feet, and the world seemed to blur. When the mist cleared, Bridget found herself standing at the edge of her village. She ran home, heart racing, praying she had not been too late. When she burst through the door, there was Kian, whole, healthy, laughing with the villagers. The sickness had left him, as though it had never touched him. Relief flooded Bridget, and she embraced her brother tightly. But a nagging fear twisted within her. What had the Fairy Queen taken? The answer came that night. Bridget lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the darkness to close in. But sleep never came. As the hours stretched into eternity, she realized the truth. The Fairy Queen had stolen her dreams. She could no longer sleep, nor dream of peaceful nights or a future beyond the waking world. She was trapped, forever awake, forever haunted by the bargain she had struck. In the years that followed, Bridget watched as her brother grew older, lived a full life, and started a family of his own. But she never aged, her eyes reflecting the same weariness of a soul that could never rest. The villagers whispered of her strange fate, but none knew the true cost of her brother's health. Every year on the night of the autumn moon, Bridget returned to the edge of the wildwood, where the wind still whispered through the trees, and the Fairy Queen's laughter echoed faintly in the distance. And so, the tale of Bridget and the Fairy Queen's bargain lived on, a cautionary story passed from generation to generation, of the price one must pay when dealing with the Fae, and the weight of a promise given in desperation. The Fairy Queen, it is said, still reigns in her twilight realm, waiting for the next mortal to make a wish. But beware, for in her bargains, the things we love most are often the ones we never see coming. Subscribe the channel to get new story.